I mean, look, positive that the things seem to be dying off, but what seems very, very clear in all of this is it's a simmering pot still, and people really, I mean, especially the police, the authorities, they can't afford to take their foot off the gas on this one, can they?
You're absolutely right. The underlying conditions that have brought so many people out on the street in the protests, which unfortunately have turned violent in so many places, those conditions are still there. And at the same time, the situation that's led to lots of, if you like, counter demonstrations and groups of Pakistani heritage youth in the northern cities coming out on the street, all of those conditions are still there. The places are still socially deprived. They were never levelled up. And people are, as you've just indicated, concerned about the uncontrolled immigration and their perceptions of two-tier policing. From a police point of view, they cannot maintain this level of effort in the long term. These 4,000 to 6,000 extra people that you see dressed in these public order helmets, riot police outfits, if you like, they're not full-time riot police officers that you take out of a box marked open in an emergency. These are the people who drive the local patrol cars, ride their pedal cycles, occasionally walk or beats in your town centres. So what's happened, these essentially young fit officers have been taken away from virtually every town and village in the country, to be kept on standby in these northern tinderbox towns. So this can't be maintained. It's likely that as people have calmed down a little and they've seen some of the draconian type statements being made by the current Prime Minister, that may have discouraged some people. But again, it's only talk. If you look at it and see how many thousands and thousands of people came out on the street and see that only a few hundred arrests were made, you can see there's virtually no consequences for most of the people who turn up and riot. Bottom line is, in a riot, it's only the stupid, the drunk, the fat and the unlucky who get caught, because it's very difficult, dressed in that kind of kit, to make arrests. So it's the most reckless and stupid who get caught, because the rest you can just run away. Quite frankly, rioting is good fun for a lot of these people.
But people are being caught, though, aren't they, Kevin? And people are being sentenced. They're being sentenced very quickly. These sentences are coming through thick and fast. Some people just getting a few weeks. Some people getting as much as 3 years. Do you think that will act as a deterrent?
I think it will, to some extent, act as a deterrent. Of course it will, particularly for people who think rationally. And let's be clear, a lot of these people who came out on the street and decided they want to attack immigration centres are not people who think rationally. But my point I was making about people being caught is, in fact, relative to the numbers who've been out on the street, very few actually are getting arrested or even arrested after the event. Police don't have the numbers, firstly, at all these different incidents. And secondly, to try and catch any of these people here, when you're wearing all that public order kit, wrestle them to the ground, is very difficult. You can see, look, there's already hundreds there. They might catch a couple, might catch 5, might catch 10. It's not a real deterrent, because the police can't create the consequence needed using with these tactics of standing there and letting people throw stones at them. You know, I've always come from a point of view that public order tactics got their warning in 2011 when we lost complete control of many of our cities, and looting and rioting was far, far worse than we see now, and far more police casualties than we see now. They need to change the tactics. So they need to use modern science and techniques that keep the crowds distanced from these police officers, so that we don't take the casualties and don't need so many. So I've always advocated for using a marker solution like smart water, where you spray the vast amount of the people causing trouble, combine that with video, and then afterwards, as people are moving away, maybe half a mile away, you just shine ultraviolet light on them, which will show they've been sprayed. You get the person's identity details, if necessary, because they're suspected of a crime. Use electronic fingerprint machines to take the fingerprints on the street and photograph them and release them. Then in slow time, You compare those images with the people you see throwing the sticks, stones, petrol bombs, setting things on fire. You've already got their identity. You can go and get them at leisure. That would be a real deterrent, because people would then know they've been sprayed. But the thing people don't like about this is you need a water cannon to do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're talking. The problem is, Kevin, what we're talking about pretty extreme measures with all of this, and the narrative is all around this particular group, this particular side, and look, it seems ridiculous that we have to keep making it clear, but we do, that obviously this is all completely wrong. It is unacceptable behaviour, and people should be caught and prosecuted for it, and we absolutely believe that. However, what we're seeing in terms of the narrative is all the blame being pushed onto what is labelled as far right and very little on the other side. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail because an arrest has been made but no charges have been brought yet. But someone in one of these counter rallies, which were being praised by the boss of the Metropolitan Police only yesterday, has now been arrested on suspicion of encouraging people to murder.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what's underlying all of this, and let's be clear, is this sense partly of being ignored, but also this sense that there is a two-tier policing system that operates in the country, not officially and denied, but in actual fact, that's what's occurred, where if someone is a person of colour or from an influential group, they are policed less robustly than perhaps these people who turn out on the streets are. You've only got to go to a football match and see how strongly and robustly some of the supporters are policed when they walk along the street, compared to what we see even happening the other day when that huge bunch of they appear to be Pakistani heritage kids all going down the street shouting Allahu Akbar, etc., or that scene's outside the pub. It is nonsense, and it is denial by senior people who say there is not two-tier policing. I started in 1979, and I very quickly learned you needed to walk on eggs when you dealt with some ethnic minority groups within the UK, because you would very quickly have the race card levelled against you, and then people would fall upon you like a ton of bricks. It's nonsense. That's why we didn't have proper investigation of these 40-odd grooming gangs up and down the country. And it's why, for example, knife crime has gone out of control in our inner cities, and in what I would call a naive but clear example of institutional racism, the police have withdrawn from stopping and searching black youths who are doing most of the dying and are doing most of the killing. They are clear examples of police not policing without fear or favour. And it's an act of denial by senior police officers that's happened. The best way to police is police everyone the same, fairly, compassionately, but if necessary, robustly, ignoring their colour, their ethnic backgrounds, their religious backgrounds. Treat everybody the same. Say if you're a bully or you're a thief or a rapist, you'll be dealt with all the same.
Yes, well, and that's clearly how it should be. Kevin, look, really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you.